And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again, another day committed to picking a fight with the mainstream media and providing you the timely truth centered around real estate, credit, finance, estate planning, tax planning, and so much more. Over 80 show partners now with the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we all want to entertain, educate, enlighten, but most importantly, we want to engage you in an effort to help you win in any marketplace.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Pull out your smartphone, save our hotline number in your phone. It's 813-670-7372.
Here's my number, so call me maybe.
813-670-7372. And we want you to bookmark our website, consumerqb.com. A plethora of information available for you at consumerqb.com. You can see links to all of our expert contributors, over 80 show partners there at Expert Contributors tab. Just click on the tab. You'll see all their contact information, phone numbers, and contact infos with emails, as well as on the contact form. You can submit the form there, and it comes directly to us, just like an email. So we'd love to hear from you. If you're a listener out there, maybe you have a need for real estate or mortgage advice, credit improvement, different legal advice as well. We have different legal attorney expert contributors on our show, and also other ways that we can engage you as well. So we'd love to hear from you on our Facebook page. However you want to reach out, we would love to help you, making you just a bit more street smart out there. We don't care if you're climbing a corporate ladder or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work. This show's for you. Let's go around the horn now and make our introductions. Back in studio, Mario Larrea. He's a mortgage expert, Home First Lending. Welcome in, sir.
Hey, Brandon, great to be here as always. I'm going to be talking about some market conditions today, just how the housing market's looking, the rate environment, stuff like that. So it's got some good stuff there.
Good stuff happening in that space, as well as Julian Correa back in studio as well, owner of KnightSpeed Moving. Welcome in, sir.
Thank you, Brandon. Glad to be back. So hand in hand with more homes is more moving. So I'm just going to go into why you should be really picky with your movers today.
Yeah, I like that. How to properly choose that. It's a big decision. Also, Jason Avery, owner, Avery Construction, also author of Constructing Success. Welcome in, sir.
Hey, glad to be back, Brandon. We're going to talk about what's going on in the commercial construction world. We're going to talk about what's happening when you are the client these days. It's not an easy process to be under construction. And we're going to talk about what these contractors need to know.
Excellent. I like that. Some good stuff here lined up for the quarterback show. We also have some feel-good stories. Find out how inmates in Georgia made a difference for one correctional officer in our Tell Me Something Good segment, as well as our top 5. We do a little guessing game with our expert contributors. Top 5 tallest buildings in North America teed up for us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. A couple of hot listings I want to let you know about here in Tampa Bay. I'm the owner of Platinum MVP Realty and a top listing agent here in Tampa. 701 East Crenshaw Street in Tampa. It's in the Seminole Heights area of Tampa Bay. $254,000 for this beautiful pool home, completely remodeled, and over 2,300 square feet, 2,358 square feet, and the seller is motivated. Also, 10616 Cape Hatteras Drive in Tampa. It's in the Palm Bay community. It's a gated community within a gated community. So super awesome neighborhood for families with kids. 4 bedrooms, 2 and 1/2 bath. $388,000, just reduced down to $388,000 for this gorgeous 2,940 square foot heated home. Lovely Mediterranean 4 bedrooms, 2 1/2 bath, pool, spa, home on a conservation lot here in beautiful Tampa Bay. All right, giving a big shout out to Kipton's, the Hotel Zamora on beautiful St. Pete Beach. It's the official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. 15 to 20% discount off of your room stay, off of your local staycation if you go and book through the REQB code. Just let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you, and you're going to get a discount off of the best and first new hotel built on St. Pete Beach in decades with Spanish ancestry meets cool Mediterranean attitude. It's a whitewashed Mediterranean palace with expansive luxury suites, with balconies overlooking the Intracoastal Waterway, rooftop yoga on the weekends, rooftop karaoke on Thursday nights, and you got to check out the restaurant as well, the Castile Restaurant. Awesome new menu with breakfast, lunch, and dinner there with Paul is the general manager. Let him know the real estate quarterback sent you. He'll give you your first drink as well, and compliments of the quarterback show. And we're back here in studio helping you win in any marketplace, starting off with a little personal development. All right, so we got this 2-minute drill we always do on the show, helping you win. We've been doing a series of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So we're on the final habit, number 7, sharpen the saw. So renewing your physical, spiritual, mental, and emotional attributes makes possible personal fulfillment and growth. Stephen Covey talks about the 7 habits, and so sharpening the saw is something that, we live in the greatest time in human evolution. We live in the best city and the best country here, where you can basically any goal that you set out, any dream that you have, you can go out and get that. You can make it happen. But one of the most important things you can do is sharpen the saw. The story goes that there's 2 folks out in the woods. They're cutting down the saw. The one guy stops, takes a break. He says, the other gentleman says, well, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm sharpening my saw. I'm making it where the blades will cut faster. And he says, well, you're wasting time. I'm going to keep sharpening. I'm going to beat you in this race that we're having. And he says, well, I'm sharpening my saw. And then, of course, lo and behold, he ends up sharpening the saw, cuts it down a lot faster, and he's getting smarter. Or getting his blade sharper. But in the same fashion, you want to make sure that you're sharpening your saw mentally, spiritually. All the different ways that we talk about with the show. You've heard our show, and you talk about the ways that you can increase your value for your employer. Maybe you're employed and you want to increase your value. You want to move up the ranks, get an increase in wages or a raise, or maybe you're self-employed. You got to go put in the work. You got to get out to the seminars. You got to go and read the books, listen to the books on audiobook, listen to the podcast, sharpen the saw, improve your personal development to move your station in life into a positive direction. There's your 2-minute drill, your audible drill. Anybody want to comment on that as well with the sharpening of the saw? Jason, I know you do a lot in that space too.
Well, you're talking sharpening of saws, and I'm in the midst of building out a cabinet shop. So in my mind, it's going through the permitting process and what it's going to take to get those saws running. Yeah. But no, I'm definitely an advocate of personal development and training. I've been through many trainings. I actually host a few trainings these days about relating to people through behavioral styles. You got to understand people even more than your product or service if you're going to be successful. That's the key.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting out there, putting time in, it's going to pay off in the long run. So that's the nugget of advice for today, helping you win in any marketplace. And we're going to talk with Mario Larrea now. He's a mortgage expert here in Tampa Bay, Home First Lending. So Mario, we talk a lot about mortgages here on the show. We talk about finance, the ability for a homeowner to leverage his money. You look at how can I leverage money? How can I, maybe from an investor standpoint, you can come in and you can put as little as 5% down, sometimes even less we've talked about. But let's just say, for example, 5% down on a $300,000 deal, you're looking at about a $15,000 down payment to control a $300,000 asset. Now, especially if that is a duplex, triplex, or a quad, something where you can build in some passive income, real estate is such a money play right now.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And, just like you're saying, there's a lot of programs out there right now where I just had one last week. They opened up where I had a 1% down program. However, in a lot of the zip codes, there were income limits. They've opened that up in Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas. Doesn't matter what your income is. So, I mean, you could be looking at a $420,000 price because, that would be under jumbo. You're only putting 1% down. The lender's actually picking up another 2%. So you come in with 3% equity with only putting 1% down. So, you have a lot more cash to throw around, invest, keep for a rainy day too. So those programs are helping.
So show them the money, you say?
Yeah, exactly.
So they're raising the limits on the income.
Yeah, because so before it was more towards helping out people with lower income, stuff like that, to get in. But now in these counties here locally in the Tampa Bay area, they completely eliminated it. So, it doesn't matter what you make. You could be making $500,000 a year and still put 1% down and, get excellent rates. The rates are amazing right now. I was actually doing some research the other day, and they're saying right now on national average it's 33% more expensive to rent in the U.S.
Wow.
than it is to purchase a home right now. So, part of it's the interest rates right now. They're 4%. It's a historical low. So there's, the rates would have to go up to like 9% for it to actually equal out to be, the same price to rent as to own. So we got a while before that happens.
Yeah, so if you're a renter out there, you're on the fence of renting, you're thinking, this is something you've thought about, you've had a goal of getting into home ownership, but you just thought, I'm not sure if my credit's correct. I'm not sure if I have enough for down payment. We would love to hear from you. Just give us a call. Let us put you in a situation where, maybe it's 6 months down the road, maybe it's 18 months down the road, but at least we have a plan in place. And Mario Larrea, he's a mortgage expert. He takes a consultative approach to helping you through this process with Home First Lending. Shoot us a call or a text message to our hotline. Just text the word rent and the amount of rent that you're paying, and let's talk about getting you into a situation where you're paying money towards your own asset. You're building up equity in your own home versus paying a landlord's mortgage for him and making him a very happy person. Let's make you more happy here. So pull out your phone, shoot us a call or a text message. Text the word rent and the amount of rent that you're paying to 813-670-7372. And it may be not you, maybe it's somebody that you know or love that's in this position. Maybe just give them a call, let them know about this opportunity. 813-670-7372. So rent versus own analysis is going to break it down for him, Mario. The rent versus analysis is going to show
and
him.
another thing that you just pointed out, I get a lot of people that'll call and they're kind of, hey, I'm not looking to move or purchase for another year or 6 months. If you know where you want to be, you need to have a game plan on how to get there, or a map. So some people, I tell them, hey, let me take a look at it right now. You might not be ready right now, but if you're thinking for 6 months, 12 months down the road, I can tell you how to get there.
Yes.
And another thing too is a lot of people out there have the misconception you have to put 20% down. It's not the case. Even on a second home, I have programs where you can put as little as 10% down, so you can hang on to a lot more of your liquid cash. Or if you don't have the money, you have other options, to put less down and start investing that money basically into yourself. The nice thing about property is, for the most part, it appreciates. So you're doing, you're gaining money without actually doing anything.
Sure, yeah. And if you couple that with, for example, Scott Maurer, Advanta IRA, is an expert contributor on our show. He talks about self-directed IRAs and how you can buy those real estate properties through your IRA plan and defer taxes and avoid taxes legally. There's ways that you can do that. So there's a lot more to come here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. More from Mario Larrea. He's a mortgage expert here in Tampa Bay, Home First Lending. Julian Correa, owner, KnightSpeed Moving, as well as Jason Avery, owner of Avery Construction, remodeling expert here in Tampa Bay, also author of Constructing Success. Giving a big shout out to the Maids Cleaning Service. They do a great job cleaning our real estate properties. 24-hour, 100% satisfaction guaranteed by the Maids Cleaning Service. They are referred for a reason. Find out how inmates in Georgia made a difference for one correctional officer in our Tell Me Something Good segment. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Jarek Robbins. You are listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show with Brandon Rhymes. Please do what it takes to learn all that you have to live the life you want to live it fully, and find a way to give it by paying it forward to others.
Get in touch with Brandon online at consumerqb.com. consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, we're back here. Brandon Rhymes, Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty as well. And we want to give a shout out to one of our restaurant partners, Hula Bay in beautiful South Tampa. Waterfront ambiance, excellent food on the waterfront on the weekends. Check them out. They got the live bands down there as well on the weekends, and Freedom Boat Club over there on the left side. And we've got an awesome experience. Got a pool down there, so it's heating up during the summer down there at Hula Bay. Sushi, a wide variety on the menu. Great restaurant partner on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we're back here in studio. Mario Larrea is in the house. He's Home First Lending. Also, Julian Correa, owner of KnightSpeed Moving, and Jason Avery, owner of Avery Construction, remodeling expert, constructing success author as well. And this segment is brought to you by the Maids Cleaning Service, doing a great job cleaning our real estate properties, as well as Robert Hessel and his team with Source One Solutions, Honeywell technology utilized by Robert Hessel over at Source One Solutions to protect your home or office. Utilize Robert Hessel and his team utilizing Honeywell technology to protect your home or office, the official security partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. A couple of hot properties I want to let you know about here with Platinum MVP Realty, 380 Bridle Pathway in Tarpon Springs. This is in the Keystone subdivisions, Keystone Bluff subdivision. Just reduced as well, $295,000. Great opportunity here for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath pool home, fenced-in backyard, beautifully landscaped as well. Definitely have ownership pride on this property at 1,808 square feet, and a great buying opportunity as well here in Seminole, Florida. 7657 132nd Way in Seminole. This is in the Whispering Forest subdivision. It's 4 bedrooms, 3-bath pool home. There's no HOA or CDD here, and it's over 2,400 square foot heated. A great buying opportunity, reduced down to $399,000. Beautiful property here for sale, and we would love to hear from you about any of our questions, comments, concerns on our properties or any of our expert contributors. Give us a call on our hotline, 813-670-7372, 670-REQB. And here we are back in studio. All right, so first segment we talked about, we talked a little bit with Mario here, talking about the Home First Lending, some of the things happening in that space. Let's touch on as well, real quick, Mario, those renovation type programs, because I think this, with the tight inventory, these renovation type programs, they're going to open it up. So, for example, if a homeowner wants to be in that specific zip code or that specific school zone, these programs are going to be a good option because they're going to be able to come in and remodel or make these homes beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. With the lack of inventory, it's becoming more and more and more important. There's a lot more buyers out there than there are sellers. So, people can't be as selective to, turnkey, walk-in, house done home. And a lot of times it's better not to, because people aren't going to have the same taste as you. There might be things that you would have done differently, or,
right.
You get to actually, it's like purchasing a new home, except in the area that you want it at. So, we have a few different ways of going about this. There's an FHA 203K loan. We have conventional loans, so you can actually use the conventional products on second homes and investment properties. I have some, some hard money investment loans too. I think you and I had talked about that last week, which
That's right.
One where, basically they'll give you a line of credit for people who are fix and flipping. And you just basically go buy a house, they appraise the house, run title, and all they do is go off of how much you have in assets. And they'll actually finance the, 80% of the rehab costs for you. So there's a lot of products available for that section of the market right now. And, it's really important with, there being such a lack of inventory.
Yeah, exactly. The inventory is low. It's such a seller's market right now. So if you're a seller out there on the fence, we would love to hear from you, talk to you about some of the marketing that we can do for you with Platinum MVP Realty. We've got great mortgage experts that are going to be able to help you when it comes to pre-qualifying the buyers as well. And, of course, Jason Avery, we're going to hear from him as well. Talk about the renovation loans. Maybe we'll touch on some of that as well. Let's talk to Julian now, owner of KnightSpeed Moving. He's a young entrepreneur making things happen, and just excited to see the growth that you guys are having. And welcome back in.
Thank you, Brandon. I wanted to touch on, because you mentioned my favorite book, The 7 Habits. I've read that book like 3 times, and that was one of the game changers for me, especially when we started applying that to the business. The industry that we're in it's often like underlooked, and nobody thinks to get into it or know much about it. But it's really, when you consider what moving is, it's really actually one of the most stressful events in people's lives, even more so than ending a relationship or a divorce. When you actually think about that, and you see the industry as it is, and you hear all the horror stories that people have had, for a company to, a lot of companies seem to have gotten big enough and comfortable and are not actively sharpening the saw. We've experienced a lot of growth in the past 6 months or so, like just a lot more than we're used to. And so we had a lot of slip-ups because of the level of professionalism. I don't come from a background of the moving industry, so I really had to throw myself in and teach myself consistently over and over. So things like getting packing, loading certifications, joining the American Moving Storage Association, things like that, actively like getting, good about making the service itself better.
Right.
Pairing it with actually taking care and doing right by customers. That's been huge for us. That's been like a game changer.
Say again.
No, that's been huge. That's been a game changer, is like constantly improving the service itself.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. When you look at that, the model. You look at the model, and you guys started. Was it Orlando first?
We started just in Orlando, doing dorms.
Dorms in Orlando. Then you went to Miami or the Dade County area.
Yeah, exactly. We expanded to there. We started doing dorms, and it was branded with the UCF name, so KnightSpeed, UCF Knights, for students by students. And then that brand had appeal to just the residents around Orlando. They're like, oh, we want to call the college guys. We want to hire the college guys.
Nice.
And so that same appeal, we took it to a broader market. So then we started servicing residential in Orlando. Yep. And then I had a plan, me personally, to, when I wasn't sure if I was going to keep going with the business at all, to move to South Florida anyway. I ended up taking a job. Things changed a little bit. And then I decided, let's give it a shot opening it up in South Florida. So then we took the approach of not just student moving, but any residents.
Yeah.
And then we're just now starting the Tampa market a few months ago. And basically I want to open our line of services to do commercial, residential, any kind of labor, any kind of assembly project, things like that.
Nice. Yeah, I like that, man. So the vertical integration of the business model, that's something that you've got your eye on.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things you can do in that space, because you've got it all starts with having the good guys out there that can move. They're strong, and they're going to be able to move heavy equipment or heavy furniture. So that's an area that you're going to vertical integrate.
Exactly. And I like the industry, not so much for exactly what it is, but because I think what we've done is build a business on relationships, and what we happen to do right now is move people and help people with this particular service. But I think overall, building out the brand, like just building relationships with people and doing right by people, has been the thing that's gotten us to where we are now. Right.
So you also will go in and do just the packing.
Yeah, we're very flexible. Move. So we have full service moving, which it will include a truck. It'll include a team of 2 by default. You can always add more movers if you want to, and all the furniture assembly and supplies that you need. Then we also have labor only, a labor only service, which basically just gets you as many guys as you need for whether you're unloading something, you've got a pod, you need to load it. And we're just very flexible, especially with Mario talking about the mortgages. I mean, I know how the closings go, where you're supposed to close here, but then it may get postponed 2 or 3 or 4 times. And there, something that's been good for us is being very flexible with our customers, because we understand that. Yep. So they're often going, I mean, they're not just going through the stress of moving, but closing, whether the loan's going to get approved, whatever it is, and just being there for them and providing like that exceptional service, going out of what we're supposed to do, is it's awesome to see, like, people how much they appreciate that.
That's great, man. Yeah, my hat's off to you. The entrepreneurship, I love that, especially from a young guy coming, and making it grow, man, making it happen. I love that. So yeah, and it starts with, like you said, Stephen Covey, the habits there, right? It's developing those habits and sharpening the saw, going through the process and putting it to action. Taking massive action is what one of my mentors, Tony Robbins, talks about. Taking massive action when you see a goal, and motion creates emotion, and it helps you grow your business. So that's great. So yeah, more from Julian coming up as well in our lightning round, and Mario Larrea, as well as Jason Avery, Avery Construction, Constructing Success. He's the author of Constructing Success as well. And giving a shout out to Signature Massage and Facial in Town and Country area of Tampa. They are our official massage partner, Massage and Facial. They have early bird rates, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday. You get a 1-hour Swedish massage at $39.95. and also their 1 hour deep tissue massages for $49.95. And they are offering a 10% off to our listening audience. So check them out at consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. For more information, go to consumerqb.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. Listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Quarterback Show, giving a shout out to Healthy Gourmet, Felicia Lacaille. Meal plan starting at $90 per week. Optimal fuel, optimal performance, all organic veggies and natural proteins delivered fresh 3 times a week by Healthy Gourmet. Felicia Lacaille, longtime friend of the program here. I love it. Monday, Wednesday, Friday roll around, and I get my new meal delivery, and it's awesome food, organic food that is going to help you stay fueled up and optimizing your day, your week, and making sure that you're not pulling into those fast food stores. You're going to those fast food stores. We know it's not good for us, but sometimes we're forced into that position by not planning. But Healthy Gourmet can help you do that. $90 a week. You know, what else do you have in this world if you don't have your health? And Felicia Lacaille will help you be healthy. Healthy Gourmet. And we appreciate them being a partner of the Quarterback Show. All right, in studio today, Mario Larrea. He's a mortgage expert with Home First Lending, as well as Julian Correa, owner of KnightSpeed Moving, and Avery Construction. Jason Avery's in the house as well. He's also an author of Constructing Success. So let's talk with Jason here. Jason Avery, Constructing Success. He's an author. He wrote that book last year, and also a longtime owner of Avery Construction and a remodeling expert as well. What say you?
Man, I tell you, we're excited to announce that we've brought in our 38th staff member now, and
Nice.
As we are growing in the commercial space some more, and we've always been 80% residential in nature as a company, but that 20% of the commercial build-outs, tenant improvements is a space that can definitely expand, and we are fortunate and glad to welcome John Frangos to the team to do commercial estimating and the superintendent.
Awesome.
A lot of the growth out there we're noticing is in salons, it's in cafes, it's in professional offices, which are expanding, and even some churches and places of worship. And so it's just exciting to see the growth going on here in the Tampa Bay area as our commercial market is booming out there.
That's great.
But I'll tell you, that book I wrote, Constructing Success, has a lot to do with what it's like to be a customer.
Yeah.
And when you're living through a construction project, it is an uncomfortable feeling.
Yep.
And I am now a customer again. As we are expanding our custom cabinet production, we have created a new business called Designer Cabinets LLC, which will provide wholesale products to contractors, designers, people who deal with a custom natured cabinet. And as we've got thousands of dollars of equipment sitting on a shop floor right now, we can't hook it up yet because we're tied up between engineers and permitting and plans examiners and the fire department and trying to get everybody on the same page and all those ducks in a row. And I'll tell you, it's a frustrating process being the customer. So reliving the things I spoke of in the book. And with that, the Constructing Success business now, where I'm coaching other contractors and designers, is really gaining some momentum, and I'm glad to see some new young faces out there in the field. I'm meeting with a lot of these contractors who are in the business less than a couple of years. They have less than a few employees. They're just not quite sure how to get over those first hurdles to start building a team, or in some cases even how to price the project efficiently to begin with. They're not winning much work because they're going back to the drawing board every time and getting subs out to come do specific bidding for specific jobs over and over and over again. And so through Constructing Success, I'm coaching a lot of these guys on a spreadsheet tactic to saving your information, being able to furnish estimates within a matter of hours on very complex projects, and get close enough to be able to start doing some decision making, with the client. You can go back and perfect those numbers later, or try and squeeze those numbers later and make them a little more efficient. But you got to be able to provide quick information in today's world. You have to be able to give that customer instant gratification and enough information that you educate them to the point where they can start to, prioritize what goes into that scope of work.
Yeah.
So
they want it now.
They want it now.
Fast.
And you know what? The biggest complaints I hear out there is that, that contractor just came in here and ballparked it. He didn't even give me anything to go on, and he wants me to write him a check before he even gives me a real estimate.
Yep.
The other side of them tell me that, the guy came here, he said he knows what we want, and he's going to go get the estimate ready to go, and he'll get back to me next week, but it's been 3 weeks. And when you do finally get something from him, is it really just a piece of paper with a bunch of assumptions? Because how could you possibly get all the details squared away in one visit to the home? These customers don't know what they want yet. They don't know what they can afford yet. Everybody's got an idea in mind, and then everybody's got a budget. And trying to get the two of those things into the reasonable box together can be a process. It's a process you have to work through from a wide array of options and then narrowed into something very specific.
So let's say, for example, you're looking at a kitchen remodel. There's going to be a lot of variables. There's a lot of moving parts dealing with the age, everything from the age of the home, what's behind the walls. So how do you do that then with Avery Construction, Jason Avery here in studio? How do you manage that fine line in between the first example and the second example?
Well, some of this, especially when you bring up the topic of older homes, historic districts, things like that, can really complex a job. But a lot of it just comes with experience. You have to know what construction was like during certain eras, and many of these eras are eras that took place before I was born. But we got to know that back in the 20s, a 2x4 was truly 2x4 and not 1 3/4 and 3 1/2. You got to know that lead pipes were commonly what was used for plumbing, and those are going to be rusted and rotten. Your cast iron, even, which came a little after, it gets there too. Your braided aluminum wires and things. There's a lot of stuff that can go on in an old home, and you're not going to find much that's actually square or level still. Settling, aging has definitely become a factor. Rotting that has been patched up, repaired up, rigged sometimes. They're all things that you uncover in those older jobs. You got to know that trusses were invented in 1965. So when you ask me, is that wall load bearing, that's the first question I'm going to ask you, is how old is the home? And if it's prior to to 65, you probably have some bearing walls. If it's after 65, you probably don't.
So prior to that, what were they doing? Just leaning, do the old leaning? Or?
They're regular rafter systems, and but they would often be supported in the center of the home with one load bearing wall right down through the middle.
Right.
So,
okay.
But these days, conventional trusses changed everything about construction when it comes to rooftops and what you can do with the interior.
Yeah.
So just again, experience and learning along the way what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
I find myself in some unique bidding situations sometimes. I've got one now. The project is nearing $200,000 worth of stuff that they want to do, and the pushback from the customer is, oh, somebody else came in here and they were $30,000 cheaper. Mm-hmm. And so your first reaction is to freak out a little bit and say, gosh, how are they doing it so cheap? But then reality sets in and you say, you know what? That guy hasn't figured it all out yet.
Yeah.
He obviously doesn't have enough experience to know what some of those expenses are he's going to run into.
Yep.
And I get the backside information from the architect on this one that there's 4 contractors bidding. Me and 2 others are all in the exact same ballpark, and the cheap bidder was the 30,000 under.
He's the outlier.
And so he's already got himself ruled out from the project just for the lack of the knowledge up front, not budgeting the right amounts. And then those guys try and make up for it as the job progresses.
Bait and switch.
With that nasty word we call change orders.
Change order.
And nobody wants to deal with that. It's a very uncomfortable way to do the job when you've got to, argue and renegotiate over every little nickel and dime and everything that you feel as a consumer should have already been part of the deal.
Yeah.
Versus, what he says is, well, we never talked about it. It's not on my piece of paper, you said.
Come on, man.
That's what you say to him, right?
Exactly.
And you might say that too.
So if anything, sometimes we might be accused of being a little too honest up front and giving a little too much information, which may walk me away from a project once in a while. But you know what? I'm willing to let those go for what I gain in happy customers who enjoy, aren't completely turned off by the whole process. I prepare them for the worst, and then ideally try and deliver something.
So
better.
let's loop Mario back into this. By the way, I'm your host Brandon Rhymes. We're talking with Jason Avery, Avery Construction, and also Mario Larrea here, Home First Lending. So when it comes to the remodel jobs, Jason, I know you're getting a lot of cash. There's a lot of cash jobs being done. Maybe people might be accessing some home equity through a home equity line. Are you seeing some of these renovation type loans that you're working with Mario, guys like that?
In Avery Construction these days, we tend to focus on a high-scale project with a lot of custom components at a high value, and we've kind of worked out of that market. But I spent the first 3 years of my business life doing many, many of those transactions, the 203K especially.
Yep.
And it's truly a great program for first-time home buyers.
Right.
And what I've found is that a lot of consumers try and put 10 pounds of stuff in that 5-pound bag, and that becomes the challenge for, between the contractor and the consumer.
Yep.
And so it just starts with making sure that you interview the right people and know that you're going to be able to communicate and you're going to be able to be friends throughout this process.
That's right.
If you can't get it right up front, it's going to just be uncomfortable for all parties.
That's right.
And when you're under a program which is financed, there's a limit to the spending. So if we come up with 10 more things later and the money's not available, now again it gets worse for everybody.
It's going to be challenging, absolutely.
But definitely a great program for the first time home buyer who wants to get into that home that they can pick up cheap from a bank, foreclosure or something, do a little renovation.
Yep.
Get it up in working order. I mean, you can do kitchens with that. You can do bathrooms with that. You can do all the floors or just paint all the walls. Get it move-in ready.
Yep.
And you do got to make sure you cover your basics for the loan, such as, you got to have a good solid roof. You got to have a good working air conditioner. You got to have hot running water. There can't be any obvious rot or deterioration going on. Those things have to be repaired first.
Yep.
They have the different versions of the loan too. You got your streamlined process, which is typically your 30,000 under scenarios, and then you have your full blown. In the streamlines, you can't do structural change, but again, you can really go through and put a facelift on the entire place.
Yeah.
In the full blown loans, it's a little bit more of an extensive process, and again, even more important, the communication between contractor and homeowner, but you just get a separate inspector involved who kind of plays a mediation role and sort of between, it's not just the consumer contractor, but consumer contractor and bank are all involved.
Right.
So we've got to make sure that all parties stay on the same page about disbursements and, money's due. And,
that's what I was going to ask
work
you.
being completed right.
Mario, let's talk about that. So when you're doing these renovation type loans, you're giving it in draws typically. You're not going to give them that money all up front.
Yeah, what they'll do is they'll hold it. So one of the real important things, and he had touched on this earlier, is the time frame that it takes somebody to give you a quote.
Right.
I run into this a lot. Like some of these 203K or the home style renovation loans, they shouldn't take as long as they do. But, you know, you have people wanting to shop, which, you know, completely understand. It's a big, it's a big investment, the rehab that you're doing.
Yep.
So they'll want to get bids from 2 or 3 contractors. Well, you might have a contractor, like he was saying, take 3 weeks. And now, you know, typically I can get a normal mortgage done in 3 weeks, but this is just one component we have to have prior to even ordering the appraisal. So, you know, that's a big thing to look at too. It's really important on our end. But yeah, once it's done, you select the contractor you want to go with, you close, the lender it releases the funds to the title company. It's held in escrow, and then every so often, once they're completing work, they're just making disbursements to the to the construction company. But it has to be the one that you originally chose. Another thing too, with the home style program, the conventional, you can actually do anything with it. You can put a pool in. You can put in a backyard kitchen, anything you want to do that will increase the value. It's a lot more lenient than the 203K.
Nice.
So, I mean, you can, you know, add on a whole nother part of the house if you wanted to. So definitely something to look at. So
very knowledgeable folks here in studio with me today. Mario Larrea, Home First Lending, Jason Avery, Avery Construction, and also we're going to hear from Julian Correa coming up as well with KnightSpeed Moving. Find out how inmates in Georgia made a difference for one correctional officer in our Tell Me Something Good segment, and more from our expert contributors in our lightning round. Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at ConsumerQB.com. listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty's got a couple of hot listings here. If you're a commercial buyer, we've got a great opportunity. It is a restaurant, actually an operating restaurant at 8203 U.S. Highway 301 South in Riverview, 8203 U.S. Highway 301 South, Riverview. This is a corner lot, and opportunity knocks for you here. It's a great corner location in downtown Riverview, established restaurant on approximately 2,700 square foot building on 0.7 acres. Got great parking available there as well, and a great buying opportunity as well at 4711 Juanita Way South in St. Petersburg. This is a Bayou Bonita Parkway. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath property here, 2,900 square foot pool home with 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. It's located near the water in beautiful Bonita Bayou and one of St. Petersburg's last unpaved roads, and faces Crook Park. So $375,000. Great opportunity to purchase here in beautiful Tampa Bay. All right, so we're going to tell you the truth here.
You can't handle the truth.
We're going to tell you the truth around lending. We're going to tell you the truth around moving. So between the breaks there, we were kind of talking. It's very prevalent in the industries, both industries here with our expert contributors for this bait and switch. So I want to get both of your perspectives on that. Let's start with Mario here. So bait and switch is still out there, huh?
Oh my God, I get it all the time, and in different ways, not even pricing. So I had somebody just a few days ago that I talked to who he is self-employed, only been self-employed 1 year. You can't use his income. Mm-hmm. So I told him that and, just simply explained it. And he was like, well, I talked to somebody else who could do it. I was like, well, you need to go back to them. And because this isn't me, this isn't my lenders that I have. This is Dodd-Frank. This is the U.S. lending across the board. Like, if that guy's telling you this, you need to run, because he's either lying to you or he has no idea what he's doing. But, we get it a lot, and I definitely get it with pricing quite a bit. So, I mean, because I work with 60 different lenders. The lenders I work with, I'm wholesale, so it doesn't cost them anything. They're also all competing for business. So I typically can beat most banks' rates. It's very, very rare that I see that I don't. And on the occasion where I don't, I'm about the same. So whenever I see somebody beating me pretty bad, it's just not, it's not there.
They're just lying to get the deal.
Right. And then you're going to find out later on. And by then it's too late. You've already paid for appraisal, inspections. You're done. You're halfway out of your contract.
And you can't take that appraisal to another lender, can you?
Some cases you can, but a lot of the times it's the time that you've invested too. Because, I mean, if you're doing a purchase, you have a limited amount of time. If it's a refinance, hey, you can just go pull the plug, go somewhere else, But, a lot of times people, they just don't, because they're already started. If it's, a quarter point off or something, to them, it's not worth the headache. But, you just got to be leery up front. If something sounds a little bit too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, that's right, Mario. All right, Julian Correa, KnightSpeed Moving. Same thing in your industry. You're seeing it out there.
I'd stick my neck out and say that the moving industry is probably one of the most common places where you see that. You'll have movers. Yeah, clearly you'll have movers come in and give you an estimate for what it's going to be, and then you hear about them going way over time. And then not only that, but something that's really common is they'll hold your belongings, and until you pay that balance that you have, they won't actually begin to unload.
Wow,
that's just bad business practice all in all. What we like to do, and then the golden nugget that I pulled from Jason, what he had mentioned, is just being very upfront about everything that the project is going to require, and then saying like, this is why it's going to cost you this much. So moving is really one of those things that you get what you pay for. When you get underquoted as dramatically as like that one example that he gave, 30,000. But we've had customers that say, oh well, somebody could do this job for 300, and it's $1,000 job or something like that. It just can't happen. And then they end up unhappy and end up saying, you guys were right. It happens.
So the whole real estate transaction, it's such a driver for the economy. You look at so many people that are involved: title companies, mortgage, two sides on the agencies. You've got the moving company involved. So there's a lot of good things in the space of real estate, and unfortunately right now there's a lack of inventory. So you got the situation with buyers not competing for a property. The rates are still looking good. What else are you seeing out there, Mario?
Well, it's funny you mentioned about how many people. I had read somewhere that there's something like 70 to 80 people involved per transaction.
Wow.
And if, like, I wasn't thinking even about, you look down the line, like movers, like inspectors, like, you know, there's so many people that are involved. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. But, you know, everything, I mean, from what I, you know, just like you had said, the market right now, it's a great time to purchase. You just have to get out there as quickly as possible. You know, I've said this before and I'll say it again, the rates are going to be higher. Yes. They're going to be higher soon. So, you know, 6 months from now, you're not going to be able to afford the same house that you could right now.
That's right. Yeah, so you want to make sure you're looking at, you know, getting everything in order. You know, the credit is something we talk about on the show as well. William Crowley, a.k.a. the Credit Magician, he's going to be able to help you with the credit improvement, identity theft prevention, and recovery. There's credit packages that we offer, so we want to help you. So we would love to hear from you. 813-670-7372 is our hotline, 813-670-7372. Let's go ahead and jump into our lightning round.
The lightning round!
I am so good at lightning rounds!
I majored in lightning round.
All right, quick tips, things to do, things to avoid, nuggets of advice. Mario Larrea.
You know, one that I just touched on before, if something sounds too good to be true, figure out why. You know, if somebody, like I was saying, I normally will quote a little high on the upfront, but I'll tell people, I'll explain it, because there could be some unforeseen things, you know, like I won't know what the homeowner's insurance is going to be. That can affect the closing costs. So, you know, find out why somebody's quoting you a lot less, and, you know, if there are valid reasons for the higher quote.
Yes, absolutely. Julian?
Yeah, and I'll kind of build on that, is saying, you know, if you are getting something that, if there's any kind of discomfort when you're dealing with somebody like during such a big event in your life, there's a reason for it. And just ask questions. Just ask questions like, why is this so? Like, why is this company telling me this and you guys are telling me this? And if there's any kind of discomfort, shop around. I mean, there's no shortage of services.
Right. Yeah.
So
be a smart consumer. Definitely, you know, get it in writing, making sure you get the quotes in writing. Right. And here's our story we talked about. Inmate save correctional officer who passed out during work detail. A group of inmates in Polk County, Georgia, are being praised after they helped save a correctional officer who passed out during work detail on Monday morning. Our detail officer passed out while providing security detail on a job site. All 6 inmates took action to render aid by grabbing his work phone, calling 911 to get EMS on the scene, Polk County Sheriff's Officer said. And EMS eventually arrived on the scene, provided assistance. Polk County is applauding the inmates' quick action. So the inmates took action. That's great. And we want you to take action out there and reach out to our hotline. Give us a call. We want to help you with your real estate transactions, your moving process, and getting pre-approved for your next purchase through Mario Larrea, Home First Lending, and Platinum MVP Realty here, and Julian Correa, owner of KnightSpeed Moving. Welcome, and thanks for, you know, welcome to the team here. And we want to thank all of our listeners out there, our viewers of our show, and thank you for tuning in. And also remind you to please consider committing a random act of kindness, something as simple as packing up leftover food you may have, carrying it with you to and from your commute to work, and handing it to that person that you see in need. Be a force for good in the community, and help others in need. And also donate clothing, or donate your time or leftover clothing and food to your local church or food bank, and be a force for good. And continue to tune in to the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Enjoy tranquil seclusion in an eco-lover's paradise. Paddling through the mangroves where the only sounds you'll hear are the sounds of nature. Because you deserve to relax on vacation, visit Pasco County, Florida.